Κυρία Πρόεδρε, κυρίες και κύριοι,
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for me to be here with you this evening because we are celebrating once again a very important institution that Thessaloniki has embraced and makes the heart of Europe to be beating here in Thessaloniki. It is the European Empress Theophano Prize. This prize started last year. The first award was given to the President of the European Commission. And the Erasmus program. This prize wants to strengthen the European idea and reinforce all the positive aspects of our continent. This year, the laureates are people who have a lot to offer. This evening, we found ourselves at the landmark of Thessaloniki, a landmark, a monument that unites the East and the West, that is directly related to the prize and the laureates these years. Let us all watch a short video.
Thessaloniki's emblematic monument, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Built in the early 4th century BC, on the cusp of the Christian world taking over from idolatry. It is believed to have been founded either by Gaius Galerius Maximianus or Constantine the Great. Erected north of the Arch of Galerius, it links to it by a professional road adjoining the palace complex from the late Roman, early Byzantine area, which attests to the presence of emperors in the city. It served either as a temple to the protector gods of the Roman imperial tetrarchy or as a mausoleum, victory monument to commemorate the triumphant rise of Constantine the Great to sole emperor in 324. The circular domed structure stands tall at 29.8 meters and is 24.5 meters in diameter, with walls 6.3 meters thick. Initially, the interior comprised 8 rectangular niches, 8 large arched windows, and 8 lunettes. Owing to its architectural form, the rotunda has been likened to Rome's Pantheon, while there are clear similarities to Constantinian dynasty mausoleums in Rome, Constantinople, and St. Cells. They share several characteristics, including plentiful natural light distributed through multiple openings and elaborate decorations. Between the late 4th and early 6th century, the rotunda was converted into a Christian temple with the addition of a holy altar to the east, whose size inspires awe and exaltation. It was later converted into a mosque by the Ottoman conquerors, a use that continued until the city's liberation in 1912, when the monument returned to Christian worship. It has since been dedicated to St. George after the small neighboring church. Inside, the decoration was magnificent. Marble embellished the curved walls from the floor to the base of the dome, as well as the side walls of the large niches. Doubtlessly, most impressive are the wall mosaics, prominent masterpieces of late antiquity, unique in conceptual design and unparalleled in artistic excellence, whose interpretation and dating continue to fascinate researchers. In terms of aesthetics and style, the rotunda mosaics are a continuation of the Greco-Roman artistic tradition of large Eastern Mediterranean urban centers. They are notable for their realistic facial features, their evocative color combinations, their precision design, and attention to detail. As for iconography, the mosaics are an expression of two worlds, the Roman and the Christian, coming together to give birth to the art of Byzantium. The monument itself reflects Thessaloniki's alternating historical and cultural periods and serves as a landmark irrevocably linked to the urban fabric and everyday life within it. Throughout the centuries, the rotunda remains a point of reference for the interaction between architectural mastery and exceptional Byzantine decoration, the religious and the secular, the East and the West, local community and global heritage, a monument of Thessaloniki, part of European history and culture.
Κυρίες και κύριοι, νομίζω ότι όλοι νιώθουμε περισσότερο Ευρωπαίοι.
I think that we all feel a bit more Europeans since we are having a woman who is the first citizen in our country and who is a very European herself. And she respects greatly institutions and European values and ideas. You're having the floor, Madam President.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I award the Empress Theophano Prize to Gursahin and Eslem Tureci, two excellent scientists, a couple in life and research, to whom we owe one of the most reliable vaccines, the fruit of the cooperation between the biotech company, whose CEO is Gursahin, and Pfizer. Two amazing people who, after their triumphant success, stated that the results of their research were a victory of innovation, of science, and universal cooperation. They underlined the significance of teamwork, of synergy, convergence to a common goal, that is, the prerequisite conditions for the development of science, the most human-centered activity, since it is governed by the principles of universality, impartiality, sharing, organized skepticism, and focuses on the prosperity of humans. Offspring of Turk migrants in Germany, they grew up in a dynamic crossroads of two civilizations, a Mediterranean and a Central European one, and they cooperated with a Greek from Thessaloniki, Albert Bourla of Pfizer, on the basis of common principles, values, and commitments that rule scientific research. Committed to the battle against cancer of this rival, as was described by the father of modern chemotherapy, Sidney Farber, they worked hard in order to create a research lab that would investigate the way for the immune system to attack cancer cells. And when they found out that research funding was scarce, they started their own company. Their first company, that was founded in the year 2001, was named Ganymed, not from the well-known Greek mythology hero, but from a Turkish expression meaning something that is accomplished by hard work. In 2008, they established, in cooperation with the Austrian oncologist Christoph Humber, the BioNTech company. And there they start developing immunotherapy methods to treat cancer using mRNA genetic material in order to train human organism to produce its own antigen. Ugur Sahin read for COVID-19 in the Lancet journal in Friday, 24th of January 2020. And on Monday, he called the staff of BioNTech and announced them that the company will try to find a vaccine against COVID-19. And he brought us where we're standing today, armed with a powerful weapon, the first in a series of beneficial vaccines that were developed later on, shielding humans against the greatest threat of the 21st century. I narrated the story of Ugur Sahin and Özlem Türeci to underline the traits that make them praiseworthy for the promotion and dissemination of scientific knowledge. Research rigor, relentless morals, continuous alertness, combinational intelligence, tolerance, imagination, resourcefulness, optimism, but most of all, human-centered prospect and perspective. They participated with all their forces in this frantic race of science against coronavirus, and they finished first. Their fight, their battle, brings in mind a quote by the researcher oncologist, scientific associate of Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Siddhartha Mukherjee, in his notable book, The Emperor of All Diseases, a biography of cancer. The author, trying to depict the speed by which scientists run, a speed directly proportional to their self-sacrifice and commitment, quotes a phrase from the book of Lewis Carroll, Through the Mirror. If they run as fast as they can, they stay where they stand. If they want to go elsewhere, they have to run at least twice as fast. This was the speed of the couple Sahin-Türeci. And combining speed and systematic work, knowledge and inspiration, they offered us a tangible proof of the miracles that science can make. These are the traits and characteristics that we honor today, awarding them with the prize Empress Theophano, an institution inspired by the contribution of the Empress of the Holy Roman Empire, Theophano Sklirena, in the dissemination of the Byzantine civilization, both material and spiritual, in Saxony in the 10th century AC. The prize managed to become, in only 2 years since its establishment, an institution of pan-European prestige and scope. It aspires at promoting the idea of common starting points between the Eastern and the Western Roman Empire, the interdependencies of the historic interdependencies of the peoples and the nations of Europe, and their importance for the contemporary European cooperation. It aims at expanding and consolidating the relationships and the relations of Europe with its neighboring cultures, to create bridges, to resist conflicts, to contribute to the mutual understanding of the different peoples and the different cultural traits that compose the rich mosaic of Europe and its neighbors. And at the same time, acknowledging the symbolism of the accession to the Holy Roman Empire after the death of her husband Otto II, the accession of Theophano, a dynamic personality with free spirit, education, intelligence, and diplomacy. This prize underlines the significance of equal participation and involvement of women in the social and political arena. We award today a great man and a great woman for their priceless contribution, and along with them, we award the scientific team, their scientific team that they inspired and guided. We award faith, dedication, zeal, and courage. Their presence here today proves that accumulated knowledge, hard work, and selflessness of researchers are the greatest guarantee for the protection against COVID-19. The duty to life and human prosperity that they had undertaken with magnanimity puts an end to reservations, hesitation, suspiciousness, fear, even the denial of those insisting on not being vaccinated. Their contribution leads us to a future free of the uncertainty of the pandemic. We warmly thank you for this. Thank you.
Ευχαριστούμε, κύριε Πρόεδρε.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I admit that as I was sitting here and looking at you, and especially Albert Boulaz, I was thinking that one of the most touching things, for me at least, is to see people who reach such a high level, but no matter how rich they go and how much money they make, they always come back to offer to their homeland. This is extremely important. Such an individual is Stavros Andreadis, the president of Empress Theophano Foundation, the person who is behind this institution and initiative, a person who truly loves Thessaloniki and gives a lot to this city. You're having the floor, Stavros. Your Excellency, President of the Hellenic Republic, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I feel great joy, but also a feeling of pride, I admit, to welcome you all here today at the award ceremony of the second Empress Theophano Prize. The presence of such great personalities from every corner of Europe is a special honor to our effort, the city of Thessaloniki, and also my homeland, Greece. The Empress Theophano Award aims to promote, especially in the eyes of young people, in a modern and fresh way, the common European idea, the one that brings together East and West, North and South of our continent, Europe. In these uncertain times, where so much is changing, we are inspired by the course and path of Empress Theophano, who brought Byzantine civilization to the imperial court of then Germany, built bridges of exchange and understanding, and in her way, she was a pioneering European. The Governing Council of the Foundation, of which I have the honor to be president, decided, accepting the proposal of our advisory council, to award the prize to two unique persons and top scientists who selflessly found themselves at the forefront of the great battle that humanity has given and is still giving against an insidious and dangerous enemy, which in a short time upset the balance of the entire planet, causing many human losses and great misery, especially in its poorest part, Dr. Uğur Şahin and Özlem Türeci. I'm looking at both of them today with awe. Their work brings before us a number of important truths, starting with the key role of science for human well-being. The inconceivable power of human spirit can and must serve the common good. The discovery of the coronavirus vaccine at record time was an astonishing achievement that saved millions of lives, including the lives of many of us in this venue. Of course, we should equally praise the role of the large pharmaceutical company Pfizer, whose president, our friend Albert Boulaz, who comes from Thessaloniki and is here with us today. Pfizer made possible the mass production of a vaccine in a short time and the distribution of it all over the world, allowing us to return little by little to pre-pandemic normalcy. This example, unfortunately, does not happen everywhere. Very often, political or economic interests, but also passions, nationalisms, and prejudices hinder the conquest of science. They deny them and fight them, causing unnecessary harm on a global scale. In these dark dangers that spring from everywhere and very often are unpredictable, our common homeland, Europe, the cradle of culture and democracy, must and should decisively stand up. Its responsibility is huge. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take a look around us. We are all here today in this unique ancient monument, a monument that is Roman, Byzantine, Ottoman, and Christian, and in it hides the deepest roots of our common European identity. And we are here to award two brilliant scientists who gave an answer to a huge problem of today and allow us to look at tomorrow with optimism. I think it's a shocking circumstance. I feel that despite the tensions and crises and problems of self-determination, the consolidation of a common European conscience, especially among the young people to whom we must turn our eyes, is advancing and deepening. This is a historic development if we consider the centuries of bloody past on our continent. Initiatives in this field, such as the Empress Theophano Prize, which start from historical memories but have their rise on the future and on the common confrontation of problems, challenges and opportunities that arise, are of particular importance. Honorable Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your presence today. I feel that today and tomorrow the heart of Europe beats here in Thessaloniki. Thank you very much.
Έχουμε σήμερα ανάμεσά μας τον κύριο Χέρμαν.
Today we are having with us Mr. Herman von Rompuy, who accumulates a lot of wisdom from Europe and who was a calm power in the steering wheel of Europe. Since he is the chairman, the president of the advisory council, I'd like to call him to the podium, to the floor. You're having...
Madam President, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Minister, dear laureates, ladies and gentlemen, and dear friends. It's the second time that we are united here today in this rotunda, brought together by the spirit of Theophano, a Byzantine princess and empress of the later Germany, who embodied reconciliation between the East and the West of our continent 1,000 years ago. The rotunda itself is 2,000 years old and gave a temporary home to the various cultures and religions that make up Europe. We are also near where Alexander and Aristotle lived, who left an indelible mark on our history and on our civilization. This city is at the crossroads of so many ways. And what a privilege to be here. The presence of the President of the Hellenic Republic adds luster to this ceremony. It's also a great privilege to be here to present the winners of the Theophano Prize 2021. The jury I had the honor of chairing which is made up of former heads of state, former ministers, top diplomats, top magistrates, academics, eminent cultural leaders, unanimously recommended to the Governing Council of the Theophano Foundation that this year's prize be awarded to the vaccine pioneers who helped to turn around the COVID tragedy, Dr. Ugur Sahin and Dr. Özlem Türeci. Both have done what many of us societally aspire to do. They have turned fear into hope. Fear is the distinctive feature of our times, and the pandemic has intensified this negative feeling par excellence. Tens of millions of people owe their health and their lives to our laureates and their team, to all the scientists who have used their knowledge and talent to turn the tide, to prevent us from reliving the tragedy of 100 years ago. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, progress is possible. History is not an eternal return. The world can also be made. We are not a mere plaything of fate. Our lauded couple are not only scientists and entrepreneurs. They are people with a great moral sense. And at the very beginning of the pandemic, they turned their agenda around and put everything into developing the vaccine. They acted out of conviction. And that made a big impression on the international jury. The jury was inspired by the humanism of our two laureates. I was even more impressed by the simplicity and authenticity of our laureates when I had the chance to explain them our decision and when I saw and heard interviews with them later. Coincidence gave even more meaning to the awarding of this prize. The roots of the prize winners lie here in this region, so that the combination of East and West takes on an even more personal meaning. Coincidence also meant that Mr. Albert Bourla, the Pfizer business partner co-responsible for the success of the vaccine, was born in this city and studied at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. Some will claim that we knew all this when we awarded the prize, but we did not. That myself and my wife were administered the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is another coincidence that we were not unhappy about. The fact that one of our two prize winners is a woman is another aspect that the Theophano Foundation is delighted about. We are spoiled by fate today. Our two laureates illustrate how important science was, how important science is for human progress. The latter is expressed not only in terms of economic competitiveness. Of course, medical innovation needs an economic and financial basis. And that is, by the way, why our laureates have set up their own company and why they want to invest the new means they have in innovation. The European Union has put a strong emphasis on scientific research and innovation in our own budget and in the so-called Next Generation EU program. But the role of science and technology has become even more important in the pandemic period, as digital has now entered our daily lives for good, including for the older generation. Ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine the even bigger loneliness if we had not been able to stay in touch with our friends, our relatives, parents and grandparents digitally? I'm not even talking about how teleworking saved our economy. And once again, imagine this corona crisis without a vaccine and without a digital revolution. In any case, we would not have been here today together. I hope we will draw the necessary policy conclusions from all this. We cannot return to the so-called normality, to business as usual. After all, a pandemic can occur again. We must not act with our backs to the wall and the abyss in front of us. We must anticipate. And I hope that what we experienced this summer in terms of climate is a definitive reminder for all in society. The world was on fire or underwater to some extent, from Belgium to California to China. We are all in the same storm, but unfortunately not in the same boat. And that's why we need solidarity. We must help each other, as simple as that. And that's why the European Recovery Programme provides 400 billion euros in grants, non-refundable subsidies aimed at those regions hardest hit by the pandemic. 60% of the new funds go to climate, to health, and the digital. And it's precisely for the sake of solidarity that the European Union has decided to purchase vaccines jointly so that all Europeans have access to the vaccine under the same conditions. And it enables us to get out of the economic difficulties as far as possible at the same time. But it does not stop there. We must do all we can to help the rest of the world. The EU is doing more than other global players with better vaccines, by the way. But we are not yet doing enough. We are not safe in the world until all are safe. The problem is global, but the policy is not global. And more than ever, we need global cooperation instead of global confrontation. This is not a naive wish, but simply a necessity. And surely, we will not let nostalgic nationalism dictate the fight against problems that threaten mankind. There is a general human interest and well-being. There is a new common good. And behind the Theophano Prize is this humanistic ideal to which Greek civilization has contributed so much. The history of Western Europe is unthinkable without this place on earth and without the civilization of the Near East. Building bridges between these two worlds is therefore a task with a strong historical background. Working together is so much more important than working against each other. Dialogue and solidarity are values in themselves. They are about the irreducible value of every human person, wherever they come from and whoever they are. The Theophano Prize wants to be different from other European prizes. Europe is more than a political ideal, important though that is. Politics is in everything, but not everything is politics. The Union belongs to the young. And that's why we lauded the Erasmus program last year. After education, today it was science, the fruit of education, that had to be considered. And in the future, we should think about how to honor the arts as well, especially when we stand here in the Rotunda and realize what a heritage we have that is followed by great talent in our countries today. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, and dear laureates, I am extremely pleased and proud that the international jury and the Theophano Foundation itself have given us the opportunity to honor two eminent scientists who have rendered such a service to the 500 million people on our continent and so many more far beyond. Once again, I extend to you our congratulations and wish you a successful continuation of your great mission. Thank you.
The Empress Theophano Prize focuses on the pivotal role of science for the protection and the prosperity of the society, and the numerous ways by which science improves human life. And the prize this year acknowledges the contribution of two top scientists who were the first to fight for the creation and the development of the first vaccine against the COVID-19. So this prize shows our gratitude for their contribution to the fight against coronavirus. So we would like to thank them for their contribution. I would like to invite the President of the Hellenic Republic, Mr. Van Rompuy, and Mr. Andreadis to come to the floor and award the prize.
And Özlem Türeci to join us as well.
Her Excellency, Madam President, Chairman Andreadis, Chairman Van Rompuy, esteemed representatives of the Theophano Foundation, dearest Albert, ladies and gentlemen, most esteemed guests. We'd like to thank the Theophano Foundation from the bottom of our hearts for recognizing our work. Ugo and me are really overwhelmed by this celebration. We are deeply honored to receive the award today. The award recognizes the development of mRNA technology and its rapid translation into a vaccine to combat a global pandemic and improve the lives of people around the world. We must share this recognition with multiple generations of researchers and scientists who have contributed to understanding mRNA, to improving it, and learning how to apply it. As with any breakthrough innovation, it is the confluence of many efforts that has allowed the practical use of mRNA technology as a powerful tool in the service of humanity at a time of most dire need. We thank our incredible team at BioNTech for overcoming the multifaceted scientific and non-scientific challenges in this race against the pandemic, a race that we named Lightspeed to reflect the urgency with which we have all worked. We thank our esteemed friend, Albert Bourla, and his extraordinary team at Pfizer for being our partners. From the inception of our partnership, you, Albert, have wholeheartedly committed to our shared mantra, no one will be safe until everyone is safe, across nations, ethnicities, and economies. We also thank all our collaborators who contribute to what has now become a broad network with more than 20 nodes for supplying vaccines to the world, a network we are extending into the low and middle-income countries. This day, this award is about recognizing the most noble purpose of science is to serve humanity, first and foremost. It is a great privilege to be part of today's magnificent award ceremony, and it's a pleasure to be here in person. This is our first time in Thessaloniki. We are thoroughly enjoying this wonderful country, Mrs. President, this vibrant place and the company of warm-hearted people who have welcomed us with hospitality. Since we entered this picturesque city, we feel the strong presence of the patroness of this award, Empress Theophano, and we feel immersed in a rich historical heritage, a heritage that stands for principles and virtues which actually are timeless. Why timeless? The key ingredients for turning science into survival, into health, are not very different from the principles Theophano lived by long ago. A strong visionary woman who walked between worlds to bridge them, who acted with courage to make a difference, and who loved science and education. So what are the key ingredients for science in the service of humanity? For Ugo and I, pursuing this grand vision meant becoming wanderers between worlds, free worlds of sorts. As trained physicians, the patient care is important for us. As scientists, we are deeply rooted in academia and basic research. As entrepreneurs and founders of companies, we are immersed in the biopharma industry and the private sector. In the 1990s, working at university hospital wards, we too often had to tell our cancer patients that there were no more treatment options for them. At the same time, as scientists, we knew about the enormous potential of science to make a difference through new immune therapies and technologies like mRNA that we pioneered. We wanted to bring these new treatments from the laboratory bench to the patient's bedside. But we had to learn that research alone couldn't get to the patient. Without robust funding and a drug development organization, this was not feasible. So we turned to the private sector, only to find that early research without clinical evidence was unlikely to be funded. Too early, too risky, too difficult. Those were the reactions we experienced. We convinced private investors, the Stringman brothers, who believed in our vision and trusted in our capability to execute. In the years that followed, we deepened our understanding of immunology. We researched mRNA, built our mastery of the technology, learned how to manufacture it, and treated hundreds of cancer patients with mRNA in clinical trials. In January 2020, when the pandemic broke, we heard the call to action loud and clear, the moral obligation to use our technology and to trust our team's skills and the skills of our partners at Pfizer, and helped respond to a global crisis of unprecedented scale. We feel blessed and honored to have been able to contribute, thanks to our maintained identity as wanderers between worlds, we believe. And that's the first ingredient. It takes a new breed of scientists, deeply rooted in academia and basic research, who understand how to navigate the cutting edge of drug development within a pharmaceutical and industrial framework, while never, ever losing sight of the point of care, the patient, the human being. So let us breed this new generation. The second ingredient is courage, which is essential for sustainable, solution-oriented scientific progress. Courage, because it makes you love the unknown. The search for a COVID-19 vaccine was a quest in unknown territory, a quest with unpredictable outcome. To develop something new that better serves humanity. You have to take risks, you have to make bold decisions. Staying on familiar paths in unknown territory, simply not feasible. True courage, however, always goes hand in hand with humility. As was once said, humility means staying teachable, regardless of how much you already know. And indeed, in the face of this unprecedented global threat, all stakeholders, be it vaccine developers, regulators, public health officials, governments, were open to learn from each other. And we all let science and data be our teachers. Even though with a novel virus, with a new situation, knowledge needs time to crystallize, making patience and trust in each other's words even more important. For Ugur and I, learning as a path to courage and humility is a lifelong endeavor. As medical doctors, scientists, and entrepreneurs, we have had great mentors along the way, and we are still learning from others every day. Sometimes, like today, we learn by looking back at the wisdom of those who have lived many centuries ago. Moving to the third ingredient, that is about partnerships, about collaboration across borders. The collaboration with Albert and his exceptional organization is a perfect example of this two parties with complementary skills, yet identical values, a partnership forged on the basis of trust, a bond between hearts. This is a true feat of collaboration. It wasn't just us. Collaboration between companies, scientists, governments, regulators, even the media, the broader public, has never been more intense, especially here in Europe. We remember numerous weekend calls we had with EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, the laureate for this very prize last year. The global crisis showed that major tasks require trust-based solution-seeking alliances across public and private sector boundaries. And indeed, for the two of us, for Ugo and I, this has been a very special experience because we have founded BioNTech many years ago with the dream of changing treatment paradigms and of contributing to a new model of public-private partnerships, one that enables a new breed of companies to better serve a greater good. So let us create public-private ecosystems where togetherness of effort and solidarity are highly valued. Strengthening collaboration across all boundaries will remain a critical factor of success because there's still work to be done. Expanding manufacturing capacities, improving supply chain conditions, addressing diverse regional health infrastructures and public health policies, and most importantly, dealing with the diverse, complex geopolitical, global ethical, and societal conditions that have not been properly aligned yet. The pandemic shone a spotlight on how these frameworks prevent us from acting together. Many of them are not scientific and technological challenges, but realizing that these hurdles are worth overcoming so that science can reach its full potential, that is a powerful motivator for all of us. So to conclude, science can indeed make a difference at global scale. But let's not wait for the next global problem, the next big crisis, to create a sense of urgency. Let us not wait for a baptism by fire, for all the high potential technologies, the powerful scientific concepts that already today can contribute to the well-being of humanity, the preservation of the planet, and other global challenges of our time. We can develop solutions that may seem like something out of a science fiction movie today. Science can create a better future.
Thank you, Özlem. Her Excellency, Madam President, dear chairmen, esteemed representatives of the Theophano Foundation, esteemed guest, dear Albert. Thank you everyone for the Empress Theophano Award. We feel incredibly honored and humbled to receive this award at this wonderful location and in this company of outstanding people. I would like to continue with why we believe that mRNA technology will become the next revolution in medicine. Let me first pay tribute to the success of the community of scientists. The rapid development of multiple COVID-19 vaccines is a historically unprecedented success and offers a way out of the pandemic. Several vaccines, including vaccines based on traditional technologies, as well as on a new technology, were developed on record time and proving to be safe and efficacious in phase 3 clinical trials. However, messenger mRNA-based vaccines contributed to this success in an outstanding manner. It marks a new era in drug development. Never before in the history of medicine has a drug based on a new technology being developed so quickly, so successfully, and made available to hundreds of millions of people worldwide. This breakthrough was not made possible by a single step. This innovation is based on accomplishments of many. It is the cumulative impact of scientific and technological discoveries from various fields over the past 30 years that helped to transform a mere concept into a highly potent and versatile technology platform with ideal properties. mRNA bypasses complex and time-consuming fermentation-based manufacturing processes. This is why it is so fast. Instead of producing protein outside of the body, mRNA, as a natural biomolecule, enables the human body to produce the desired protein. The establishment of the mRNA technology is a major turning point in the pharmaceutical industry. It is comparable to the introduction of the recombinant DNA technology that enabled the production of human proteins such as insulin or monoclonal antibodies in laboratory fermenters. This was more than 40 years ago. The development of mRNA-based COVID-19 vaccines has demonstrated the efficacy and the safety of the approach for prophylactic infectious disease vaccines. Not only is it impressive that a safe and effective vaccine could be developed in the midst of a pandemic in less than 12 months, the fact that our companies, BioNTech and Pfizer, will produce more than 3 billion doses and distribute that until end of 2021 exceeds all of our expectations. This makes it very clear that mRNA vaccines will play an important role in the future global pandemic preparedness programs, which are now high on the agenda of governments worldwide. We can expect a major acceleration in mRNA vaccines against infectious diseases. Many existing infectious disease vaccines, like the ones against influenza, can be converted to the mRNA format. This is an opportunity to make them more efficient. We believe that the versatility of the mRNA technology holds the promise to combat previously undefeated infectious diseases. At BioNTech, we are investing in mRNA vaccine programs to address the massive burden of diseases such as malaria, tuberculosis, and HIV, all of which are tragically still prevalent and contribute to high mortality rates in many low-income countries. The prospect of the power of the mRNA technology creates a sense of optimism to combat old plagues of humanity. As Özlem noted, the pandemic has taught us the beauty and the power of partnerships. Our recently launched projects feature a high degree of international collaboration among various stakeholders, including the World Health Organization, international regulatory agencies, funding organizations such as Gates as well as the Kennard Foundation. In addition, the programs are supported by experts who have been studying this disease for more than 30 years. Our first mRNA vaccine candidates against these infectious diseases are expected to enter clinical phase in 2022 and 2023. The prospect of the mRNA technology is even broader. The validation of mRNA as a new class of drugs has come just at the right time. We are living in a period of historic advances in biomedical research that hold promise for extraordinary developments. At the same time, we are facing increasing global health challenges, such as age-related chronic diseases in industrial developed countries, and the growing need for affordable primary health care in low-income countries. These challenges require sustainable innovations that combine cost-effectiveness and versatility, and have the potential to personalize treatment and address medical needs in rare diseases. We believe that these needs can be perfectly addressed by mRNA. The rich toolbox of mRNA technologies includes not only currently approved mRNA drugs, but also an increasingly diversified portfolio of mRNA formats. We have been doing fundamental research for years and decades, and some of the new formats could become even more powerful than the approved mRNA technology. It is also important to recognize that there is a plethora of different ways to deliver mRNA to different organs and cells in the human body. At some point in the future, mRNA drugs will be used for treatment of a variety of diseases, including cancer, allergies, autoimmune and inflammatory diseases, and regenerative medicine to repair and rejuvenate human tissues and organs. One example of a potentially breakthrough medical application enabled by mRNA technology is individualized mRNA immunotherapies, tailored to each patient and to their tumor characteristics. We believe that this is a key to address one of the fundamental challenges of human cancers, namely that each and every cancer is completely different. Messenger RNA can be used to encode messages and instructions to cells in the human body, any type of message. It allows us to communicate with the cells in the human body and use their biological mechanisms to prevent and treat diseases. That is what is attractive about the method. This is the prospect of technology, but it is the human factor which matters even more. Let us be brave and optimistic. The limits of application of mRNA are the limits of biology. The world is in a phase right now where our knowledge of biology and disease is evolving dramatically. Once we understand a biologically relevant mechanism, we have the means to influence it. Let us also understand our historical responsibility and think at a global scale. I don't see any fundamental reason why the most advanced mRNA medicines cannot be made available to the world's poorest people in a timely manner. This is not about waiving patents. It is about sharing our knowledge in a well-coordinated manner. It is about harmonized processes and about creating the necessary conditions and infrastructure for production and use of medicines that meet the same standards everywhere. It is about working closely together with all stakeholders to bring innovation to those who need it most. Let us also be realistic and patient. We should not assume that everything will happen automatically. We need to combine areas of science, invest in a sustainable manner, and we need to be patient. Drug development can take decades. We need to remain humble. We can shorten the process in the future, but certainly not as much as we did it with the development of the COVID-19 vaccine. And finally, let's not forget, great progress is based on many small ones. Let us pay attention on the details and on the diversity of science. Every contribution, no matter how small and from which direction, can make a difference for science and ultimately for humanity. We are grateful to be here today and we can't wait to contribute to a better tomorrow, together with trusted partners in the fields of science, economics, and politics. Thank you.
Pandemics turned communication difficult. Okay, the pandemic isolated us and made communication hard and difficult, especially for artists who are expressing the ultimate art of communication. In this context, a pioneering training program, the so-called Make Music COVID, was born in the very heart of the pandemic. It was implemented for the first time by Yorgos Lazaridis and Zafira Azus Ramos. With the help of modern technology, this program brought together young people from all around Europe in a very radical and pioneering way. It was a program that touched the governing council, and it is the best way to conclude this very important event. 8 young people, 14 to 21 years of age, and 6 different professionals met through the internet, online. They have never met each other for 2 months last summer, and they tried to create a pioneering musical project that we're going to witness for the first time today. It is called Theme and 8 versions based on the Byzantine melody, Oh My Sweet Spring. Every version is based on a different traditional music, European music. It is presented by the 8 composers who are going to perform this work in a hybrid way. In the niches of the monument, we are going to see in their digital form young musicians from Norway, from Germany and Spain, while we will have the Greek musicians with us under the conduction of Yorgos Lazaridis, and Zafira Azus Ramos will present this unique work of art.
Ένα μεγάλο μπράβο στους μαέστρους μας και στους μουσικούς
Bravo
μας.
to our conductor and our musicians. I believe that when art bows before history, the result is fascinating. As we are reaching the end of this evening, I would like to share two thoughts of mine with you. This fascinating result that that you are having in front of you today is the result of hard work of many people who are behind the scene. A warm applause to them, please. And the second is the following. As I was entering the hall earlier, a friend of mine told me that this event has reached a higher level. Next year, what? And yes, I fully agree with him. This event has reached a high level, and next year is going to be even better. Just like Thessaloniki, that keeps on raising the bar. So I truly believe and hope that this institution that is embraced by the city will become even more reinforced and will give us more evenings like this one. Thank you very much.